Hi, my name is Jandy Rojas, and this assignment is for my Introduction to Sociology class, and it is titled Work Sociology. We were given 4 situational questions, and we were asked to present them here in this presentation. So number 1, imagine that you are a president of a Fortune 500 company. You started out as a secretary right out of high school and worked your way to the top. The vice president and CEO are always at odds. As an expressive leader, how do you resolve this social dilemma and restore order in the leadership positions between these 2 officers? To begin, I would like to define what a social dilemma is. A social dilemma is a situation in which members of a group are faced with a conflict between maximizing their personal interests and maximizing the collective welfare. I liked the example of the herders sharing a common pasture and desiring to add more and more cows for their benefit. What the herders do not understand is that if they keep adding more cows, the commons would be destroyed through overgrazing. Because of the personal desire to have more cows, the welfare of the pasture could be put into jeopardy. If I were a president of a Fortune 500 company and was attempting to resolve a social dilemma between the CEO and vice president, I would evaluate each of the individual sides and look for what their focus was in the social dilemma. I would reevaluate the situation and ensure that both parties were not maximizing their personal interests and ensuring that their focus was on the collective welfare. I liked the advice given from Elinor Ostrom on social dilemmas. She said, individuals can solve these problems themselves through systems of self-governance that involve monitoring one another's compliance with policies that benefit the community and punishing violators. I would advise the CEO and vice president to take this advice and monitor each other's compliance to ensure that both individual goals remain on the collective welfare of the community and not the business. Number 2 is name the 3 types of formal organizations and explain how each is different. Also explain a time when you were involved in one of these types of organizations and the positives and negatives that had within it. The first of the 3 types of formal organizations is called a voluntary organization, in which members can enter and leave freely. Members of these organizations join voluntarily and are not paid. Examples of these organizations include hiking groups, service organizations, community sports teams. Individuals join voluntary organizations for their own enjoyment, and they like to be around people that are like-minded and with similar interests. Organizations that people are forced into against their will are called coercive organizations. Examples of these include prisons, mental health organizations, and being drafted into the armed forces. Within this type of organization, people are exposed to resocialization and mortification. These experiences are forced upon these individuals to help strip away their old roles and identities and create new ones. Mortification includes separating them from their families and friends that might encourage the old habits. Coercive organizations differ from voluntary organizations because a voluntary organization is just that, it's voluntary, while a coercive organization is not. The last type of formal organization is called a utilitarian organization. People enter these organizations for practical reasons or to accomplish vital daily tasks. Universities, corporations, and labor unions are examples of utilitarian organizations. This kind of organization is neither voluntary or mandatory. For example, we may not wish to work for a certain organization, but in order to make money and support ourselves, being a member is an essential element to our lives. I feel that I have associated myself with utilitarian organizations most commonly because these organizations are the ones which I work with and the ones that I attend school at. These organizations are considered utilitarian organizations because we frequent them for practical reasons. These practical reasons include receiving more education and supporting myself. I currently work at a hospital, and I feel that the benefit of this organization is that it gives me the opportunity to learn, gain experience, and make money. Disadvantages include the fact that I don't always agree with the way the organization runs and the decisions they make. Number 3. You decide to run for public office. Although you have little to no experience with elections, holding office, or campaigning, you feel like you can be successful since you helped a friend who served in a public office seat last term. Explain how this is a characteristic of Weber's ideal bureaucracy and what you will do to prove your competence under these characteristics. Since I helped a friend who served in the public office seat, I may have gained knowledge. While doing so, I can use some of that knowledge to show that I clearly know my defined duties and responsibilities. Under the characteristics of Weber's ideal bureaucracy, they explain clearly that all of the offices carry with them qualifications qualifications and not personal considerations. I do not feel that because of my close friend that was in office, I will easily get elected. I must prove that I have gained knowledge and training through my friend rather than attempting to get elected because of my friend or because of family ties or personal friendship. If I were to hold any certifications, degrees, or take any examinations to prove my competence, I would use these strategies to help me in my campaign. I would prove to the people that I'm running for public office for the sole reason of fulfilling my duties, not to exercise power, and to follow rules and regulations without making exceptions for anyone. Number 4. As the creative manager of a small group of employees in the advertising department, you notice one of your designers has withdrawn from the meeting offering no input. This employee's alienation concerns you. What would you do to socialize this employee and engage them into their job? So I'd like to define alienation, and that is a persuasive sense of powerlessness, meaninglessness, normlessness, isolation, and estrangement. Individuals tend to feel alienated when they work. The work they are given is simple, repetitive, and requires little engagement from them in comparison to the overall work process. If I felt this employee was having little to no involvement in the meetings, I would begin by trying to introduce an employee participation program. I would remind all employees how important participation is, and through this program, I will require each of them to vote in every major decision that is made. I feel this might make the employee feel as if he or she has a say in all the company's decisions. I would also consider alternative work schedules if the current schedule is not one that appeals to them. Another thing I would do is offer specialized benefits, and it's something I've actually experienced with my personal job. When I was hired, I was offered a sign-on bonus in which I was required to pay back if I left the company before working there a year. This helped the company with employee retention, but it also helped me feel like an appreciated employee. This is the reason why I chose to work with this company over, other companies. I would consider offering the employees of our small group bonuses if we were to reach a certain goal by a certain deadline. I feel this might motivate the employees to be involved and engage them in their job. Assigning specific jobs that have much impact on the outcome will also help this employee feel less alienated. Thank you.